You gave them exactly what they craved: someone to look down on, someone to mock quietly behind gritted smiles, someone they could lecture endlessly while convincing themselves they were kind. You became their harmless little distraction, the one who nodded too much, blinked a little slower, asked the obvious, mispronounced the terms they held sacred, and oh, how they adored it. Because their entire identity rested on the illusion that they were sharper than you. You gave them that illusion, wrapped in just enough clumsiness to make it believable. But you weren't clumsy. You were calibrating, observing, laying the groundwork for a detonation they'd never see coming. You didn't want them to respect you. Not yet. You wanted them relaxed. You wanted them proud of themselves for having someone beneath them. Because that's when they start leaking their secrets. When they believe they're mentoring you. That's when they think they're untouchable. That's when they stop protecting what matters most. Their blind spots. They don't teach this in schools. This kind of intelligence. The art of vanishing beneath the ego of another while quietly measuring its weak points. You didn't need to dominate the room. You just needed to study the patterns, how they puffed their chests when they thought you didn't get the joke, how their voices lifted when correcting you, how their smirks curled when you asked questions you already knew the answers to. They thought they were building your mind. All the while, they were unraveling their own. Their overconfidence was never your obstacle. It was your opportunity. They fed it like a fire, and you handed them the matches. Because the most devastating move in any game isn't made when people are alert. It's made when they're convinced you're incapable. That's the moment they stop guarding. That's the moment their pride blinds them. That's the moment you waited for, and oh, did they give it to you? Willingly, repeatedly, they bragged in front of you, shared strategies, mocked you in confidence. You let them. Because when you're setting up a God-tier move, there's no room for ego, only execution. You weren't playing dumb. You were designing disorientation, building a facade so perfectly crafted that even your allies thought you needed help. You didn't deny it. You let them think you were grateful, that you needed guidance, that you couldn't do it without them. You made yourself small on purpose, because you knew something they didn't. Small things explode best in tight spaces, and you were about to go nuclear. While they practiced speeches, you built an arsenal. Quietly, relentlessly, waiting for the perfect second where their certainty became a coffin. They built entire conversations around your supposed limitations. They used you as a prop in their anecdotes. They whispered about how you'd never get there, and you let them. Because every insult, every dismissal, every laugh, it was data, it was fuel. It was confirmation that they were falling right into your design. They underestimated you so deeply that when the moment finally came, they didn't even know what hit them. Not because it came out of nowhere, but because they refused to see it coming. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't a tantrum. It wasn't even a warning. It was a single surgical move that made every mouth in the room forget how to speak. It was elegant, clean, devastating. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't ask for attention. You didn't need a stage. You just acted, and reality rearranged itself. The board flipped and the rules they wrote shattered like cheap glass. And that sound, that mental cracking behind their stunned faces, that wasn't surprise. That was collapse. What you did wasn't just smart. It wasn't just bold. It was alien to them. It came from a depth they never dared explore. You used tools they didn't know existed, applied thinking they couldn't replicate if they tried. And that's what broke them. Not just the fact that you outmaneuvered them, but that they couldn't even understand how. Their minds, so used to linear logic, weren't built for the kind of move you made. They were expecting a reaction. You gave them a reconstruction. That's the real power of playing dumb. It makes your brilliance look like sorcery, and nothing terrifies the arrogant more than realizing they've been worshipping their own reflection while ignoring the shadow behind them that was 2 steps ahead the entire time. You didn't challenge their ego. You sedated it, let it grow until it blocked their vision entirely. And when it did, you struck with a calm they couldn't comprehend. You didn't break their game, you deleted it. They didn't just lose a game, they lost control. They lost the narrative. Because now, everything they ever said about you, the jabs, the sarcasm, the corrections, it's exposed for what it always was: noise. Desperate noise from minds that needed to believe they were bigger than yours. But your silence had weight. Your patience had poison. You weren't waiting for approval. You were staging a collapse in real time. And here's the part that really eats them alive. You weren't even trying to impress them. That move you made, that earth-shattering, brain-melting pivot, you didn't do it to prove anything. You did it because it was time. Because the setup was complete. Because their certainty was ripe for collapse, and you didn't need their applause. Just their silence. The silence that wraps around the mind like cold steel when the illusion breaks. But oh, how loud that silence became. Deafening, awkward. A room full of people blinking like machines out of sync. Some trying to reframe it. Others pretending it wasn't that big of a deal. But you saw it. The glitch behind their eyes. The mental reboot. The quiet panic in the way they reevaluated every moment they had ever dismissed you. That's not embarrassment. That's existential disorientation. It's the internal scream of a person realizing their judgment has failed them completely. They don't just question what you did. They question who you've always been. They wonder if everything you showed them was fake. They can't trust their memories anymore. And that's the most dangerous kind of doubt. The kind that makes them rethink everything they thought they understood. About you, about themselves, about intelligence itself. They've tasted mental defeat, not from an argument, but from a demonstration they never saw coming. Some will avoid you now, not because they dislike you, but because they fear what else you've hidden. Others will try to get close, hoping to figure you out, as if proximity will grant them clarity. It won't, because they're still playing the old game, still trying to decode a mind that no longer exists in their frame of reference. The person they underestimated is gone, replaced by a version they can't label or quantify. You didn't just evolve, you molted, shed the skin of the character they thought they knew, and revealed something far more dangerous, a thinker who knows how to disappear until it's time to rewrite the room. You didn't demand power, you designed inevitability, and now the people who once pitied you can't even look you in the eye without remembering the moment their worldview cracked. The weight of that fracture is permanent, a haunting they can't unsee. Because it wasn't just about being right or winning. It was about precision, about the timing, about the elegance of letting them feel safe, right up until you rearranged their entire belief system with one clean motion. They'll never admit how deep it cut, but they'll flinch every time your name comes up. Not because you're dangerous, but because you made them feel predictable. You taught them something they'll never unlearn, that the quiet ones aren't always clueless, that the underestimated don't always stay low, that sometimes the one who stumbles in the beginning is the one writing the final chapter. And when that chapter lands, it doesn't ask permission. It doesn't negotiate. It just closes the book. Permanently. And now? Now they're cautious around you. Every word is filtered, every gesture measured, because they're not sure if you're still playing dumb or already setting up the next collapse. And that uncertainty, that invisible pressure sitting on their chest, that's what happens when you weaponize intelligence with patience. You taught them how fragile their reality was by smiling while breaking it apart. They were never playing against you. They were playing in your theater, and you let them monologue themselves into madness. So don't expect them to clap. Expect them to crumble. Because the version of you they underestimated was a myth. The real one just gave them a glimpse of what comes after their rules no longer apply. And now they're looking over their shoulders, wondering if you're finished. They try to salvage dignity, rebuild confidence, reclaim narrative. But deep down, they know the truth. They weren't just outsmarted, they were outclassed, because while they rehearsed cleverness, you engineered revelation. And the next part isn't damage control, it's dissection, it's dissection. And now they're looking over their shoulders, wondering if you're finished. They try to salvage dignity, rebuild confidence, reclaim narrative. But deep down, they know the truth. They weren't just outsmarted, they were outclassed. Because while they rehearsed cleverness, you engineered revelation. And the next part isn't damage control, it's dissection. What they don't realize is, the moment you made your move, they weren't just exposed, they were dissected in real time. Not physically, psychologically. You cracked open the skull of every smug assumption they held and let the rot spill out in public. Their reputations weren't ruined by you. They were ruined by the mirror you shoved in front of their faces. You didn't need to attack. They self-destructed the second they realized the fool in the corner was a grand master masquerading as a pawn. You never wanted their applause. You wanted data, their reactions, their habits, their weaknesses. And they gave it all away willingly, thinking they were educating you, guiding you, shaping you. But they weren't mentors. They were mice in a maze you built with a smile. You watched how they cornered others. You studied their cruelty when they thought no one significant was watching. You noted how they talked down to people, how they measured intelligence through noise instead of depth. And when it was your turn, you didn't make noise. You brought an avalanche. They still don't fully understand how you did it. And that's what's unraveling them now. Not just the loss, but the mystery, the mental glitch, the fact that they can't trace the move, can't replicate it, can't decode your strategy. That's not failure. That's psychological fragmentation. They're walking around trying to convince themselves they're still sharp, while simultaneously trying to figure out how they missed everything. Their internal compass shattered, their judgment exposed, their certainty gone. It wasn't just intelligence that destroyed them. It was patience. It was the way you waited, letting them feel powerful, letting them believe they were shaping you. You fed them the illusion until they overdosed on it. And then, without warning, you changed the temperature of the entire room. Not by yelling, not by rising, just by moving with undeniable precision. You didn't have to explain. The effect spoke louder than anything else. One motion, one reveal, and suddenly their entire ego infrastructure collapsed like a sandcastle in a tsunami. The aftermath is quiet on the surface, but underneath, there's chaos. The group chats have shifted, the tones have changed. You can feel the hesitation in their messages, the caution in their compliments. They want to ask questions, but they don't know how to phrase them without admitting they were wrong. They want to stay close to you, hoping some of your brilliance will rub off. Yet they're terrified to say the wrong thing and trigger another collapse. You became radioactive. They're drawn to you, but they can't handle what you actually are. They try to rationalize it. You must have had help. It was lucky timing. You finally got serious. These are the excuses weak minds craft to shield themselves from truth. But deep down, they know. You weren't lucky. You weren't helped. You weren't hiding insecurity. You were designing consequence and that God-tier move. It wasn't for validation. It was a reset button. You didn't want to impress them. You wanted to end their illusion. You walk into rooms differently now. Not because you changed, but because they did. Their eyes no longer carry arrogance. They carry hesitation, respect, mixed with confusion. They're unsure how to greet you now. Do they still joke the same? Do they pretend nothing happened? Do they apologize? The silence you once wore to blend in has become the volume that deafens them. Because it screams the one thing they can't admit aloud. You were never beneath them. You were the measuring stick they failed to recognize. Now they obsess in secret. Rewatch the moment. Re-examine every interaction they had with you, searching for signs, looking for cracks, desperate to find evidence that you were never a threat until just recently. But they won't find it, because you were never hiding weakness. You were hiding depth. A kind of depth that can't be summarized or simplified. You are the lesson they teach themselves now, in private shame. Don't underestimate the quiet ones. Watch the ones who smile and listen. But it's too late for that now. You already made your mark. They whisper your name like folklore, like some mythic ghost of strategy and calm destruction. But you're not a ghost. You're just someone who learned to weaponize patience in a world obsessed with noise. They tried to reduce you to a label, a stereotype, a joke. But now, every time they speak your name, it comes with a pause, a hesitation. Because they know, if you struck once, you could strike again, and they wouldn't see it coming until their world flipped a second time. You didn't just flip the power dynamic. You reprogrammed their instincts. Now when they feel confident, they second-guess it. Now when they spot someone they think is lesser, they hesitate. They flinch. Because you trained them through consequence. And that is the most beautiful revenge. Not through rage, not through noise, but through permanent correction. The ones who laughed the loudest, they're the ones who fear you most now. Because laughter is loudest when insecurity needs a disguise. And now, their disguise is gone. Torn away by a move so precise, so irrefutable, that no one could gaslight it into fiction. They remember the exact second it landed, the expressions around them, the silence that followed, the internal collapse that didn't come with fire, but with understanding. Understanding that they misread everything, misjudged you, and worse, revealed themselves in the process. You didn't argue with them. You never debated your worth. You let their arrogance do all the work. That's what breaks them now. That you didn't need to destroy them. You simply existed in truth. And the moment that truth became visible, everything they had built on false assumptions cracked under its weight. Because they weren't just wrong about you. They were loudly wrong, publicly wrong, repeatedly wrong. And there's no rewinding that. Now, some try to pivot. They act like they always believed in you. They bring up old moments, pretend they saw the signs. But it's hollow. You can see the fear in their admiration. It's not love. It's strategy. They're still playing, still trying to secure footing in a world you reshaped without asking their permission. But here's the part they'll never get. You're not in the same arena anymore. You moved past the noise and left them shouting into a void that doesn't echo back. You didn't burn bridges, you just flew over them. You didn't take revenge, you left them with themselves. And now, they're the ones haunted, not by guilt, but by the knowledge that they were predictable, that they were scripted. And you rewrote the script mid-performance and walked off stage without missing a beat. That's not just intelligence, that's command. You don't have to flex. Your presence is the message now. You walk into spaces, and their posture changes. Their words filter themselves. Their jokes shrink. Not because you're threatening, but because your stillness holds weight. Because your previous silence wasn't absence, it was observation. And they remember what happened the last time you listened more than you spoke. There's nothing left for you to prove. They know. The move is still echoing in their minds, like a siren that never shuts off. Every new decision they make comes with the whisper of your last one. That's how you win wars without swinging. You leave them navigating a terrain you quietly rewired. One step at a time, you undid everything they thought was solid. You don't need to remind them. You don't need to make a sequel. You've already left the kind of mark that reshapes how people treat every room going forward. You made them hesitate, rethink, recalculate. And in this world, that's the ultimate dominance, making them rewrite themselves without lifting a finger. And as you walk away, unbothered, unwounded, they finally ask the question they should have asked from the start. How long was this move in the making? They'll never know, but you do. And the part that's coming next isn't retaliation, isn't forgiveness, it's transformation. You didn't do all this to prove a point. That was never the goal. You didn't pull off one perfect brain-breaking move just to shock them. That was only the spark, the opening of a door that's been bolted shut for years. This wasn't a performance. It was an evolution disguised as compliance. They thought you wanted entry into their world. What they didn't realize is you were building your own. Not louder, not flashier, just undeniable. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It shifts the gravitational pull of the room. It turns the observers into imitators, and the imitators into statues, frozen in awe. Confused by their own paralysis, you've become that pull. The fixed point that bends perspectives, the proof that true brilliance doesn't need to beg. It just becomes, and lets the rest of the world either catch up or collapse. And collapse they did. The very people who once graded your worth with smug expressions now find themselves scrambling for new metrics. They can't use the old rules anymore. You've made those obsolete. And that's the genius of what you've done. Not just the move, but what followed. The psychological terrain is different now. It belongs to you. You walk on ground that makes others uncertain. Not because you threaten them, but because your presence alone forces them to reassess everything they thought was true. And the wildest part? You're just getting started. That wasn't your peak. That wasn't even your full capacity. It was a preview, a subtle demonstration of what happens when patience meets precision. They saw one layer, and it undid them. Now they walk around fearing the layers they haven't seen. They don't know if you're holding back again. They don't know how deep the reservoir goes. And that doubt, that unease, it spreads like infection, quiet, invisible, inescapable. You used to sit quietly while they explained things you already understood. Let them feel important while they talked over your intelligence. now. They wouldn't dare. They feel your awareness before you speak. The edge in your calm. The way you don't react like you used to. Because you're not trying to fit in anymore. You're not making space at their table. You're building your own kingdom, stone by stone, etched with every lesson they gave you through mockery. Transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about shedding the skin they tried to trap you in. You're not reborn. You're revealed. The version of you they used to see. That was camouflage, polished and tailored to keep them comfortable. But comfort doesn't change the world. Disruption does. And you've become the embodiment of it. Not chaos for the sake of noise, but disruption with direction, strategy that doesn't seek permission, movement that doesn't ask to be understood. Now when they see you, they don't know how to behave. They try to piece together who you are, now using broken memories of who you used to be. But the blueprint has changed, and every attempt to define you collapses the moment they speak it. Because they're trying to box what no longer fits inside language. You've transcended their categories. You're not the underdog. You're not the mystery. You're the inevitable. This is the aftermath no one prepared them for. Not your success, not your rise, but the way you carry it, with silence instead of noise, with depth instead of drama. You don't advertise your wins. You move as if they were always expected. And that's what crushes them now. That your victory wasn't loud, it was casual. Like you never needed to prove them wrong. Like you always knew they'd come around, not out of admiration, but because there was no alternative left. You're not chasing status. You've outgrown the need for applause. While they polish trophies, you sculpt outcomes. While they chase recognition, you influence direction. And here's what terrifies them most. They've finally realized they need you. Not just your talent, your thinking, your clarity, your ability to see 5 moves ahead in a game they thought they were winning. But they don't know how to ask for help without confronting the humiliation of ever having doubted you. So they pretend, smile, compliment. But you feel the tension, the guilt they haven't dealt with, the fear they still carry. Because they know this isn't just your moment, it's your era. You've become the force they measure their progress against. You've become the proof that playing dumb wasn't submission, it was surveillance. You were never the slow one. You were the strategist in disguise, the architect wearing rags in a kingdom full of cardboard kings. And now, those kings are crumbling, not from scandal, not from sabotage, from exposure. You didn't have to destroy them. You just showed up as yourself, fully, powerfully, and their thrones became matchsticks in a rainstorm. They want to reclaim their authority, but the audience has shifted. The room doesn't look to them for leadership anymore. Eyes follow you now, quietly, naturally. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it in the one way no one else could. By being 10 steps ahead while pretending to be 3 steps behind. They can't handle that kind of chess. They weren't trained for it. Their minds were built in echo chambers. Yours was built in exile. They had validation. You had vigilance. They had shortcuts. You had strategy. That's the difference. They evolved through praise. You evolved through watching, waiting, building. And when you finally moved, it wasn't just a turn, it was a revelation. Your transformation didn't require an audience, but it got one anyway. And now they're witnessing the emergence of something they can't imitate. You've become the version of yourself that doesn't just participate in systems, you bend them. And every attempt they make to recenter themselves only highlights how far they've fallen behind. You're not competing anymore. You're redefining the arena. They talk in circles. You speak in shifts. They argue over spotlight. You cast shadows that move the entire landscape. That's the difference between noise and nuance. They wanted applause. You became unavoidable. And now, every time they try to assert dominance, they look around for confirmation and see faces turned toward you. You didn't need revenge. You needed space to grow beyond their reach. And now that you have it, you don't look back. You're not bitter. You're focused on the next blueprint, the next recalibration, the next silent detonation that will flip another false hierarchy. You don't announce your plans anymore. You don't explain your shifts. You just evolve and let them scramble to catch up. And the most poetic part, you'll keep doing it. Again and again. They'll never know when it's coming. They'll only feel the aftershock when it hits. Because when you strike, it's never just to win. It's to redefine what winning even looks like. You didn't play dumb to survive. You played dumb to disarm. And once the weapons were lowered, you built your empire in plain sight. Now every room you enter feels different. Not because the room changed, but because you did. You don't look for approval. You observe. You don't seek validation. You dictate direction. And every interaction feels like a test they don't want to fail again. Because they remember how it felt the first time. When the quiet one rewrote the rules. When the underestimated became the undeniable. They'll spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out where they went wrong. But you already know where you went right. You didn't mimic. You didn't rush. You didn't react. You watched. You waited. And when the time came, you moved with such terrifying grace. The world bent around it. And now you're not just ahead. You're untouchable. Because while they measured themselves in praise, you were building legacy in silence. And the final phase of this transformation isn't dominance, isn't destruction. It's detachment.